Hi, my name is Hat here. I'm bringing you Week 7 of the GBA. This is against Crobat for the win, Tony Danza, and the LA Needle Kings, the reigning champion of last year, Season 1. And we battled them last year one time, and it was a good battle. And hopefully we'll have another good battle here. But going into this, Danza has a lot of threats on his team, specifically Mega Venusaur, Gliscor, and Gengar. Gengar, of which I believe he has not brought once this year, so when I got to the team preview screen, it was a relief to not have to see Gengar. But I did have to see Gliscor and Mega Venusaur. Mega Venusaur is just incredibly bulky. It has recovery, it's got Leech Seed, it's got Sleep Powder, it can get knockoff, and go physical special. So, it has a lot of different options. And Gliscor is just a pain, especially for my team. It doesn't really have a lot of options that aren't obvious for how to get rid of it. So it's pretty easy to play around in that regard. But for Mega Venusaur, I brought a few different things that we'll see. And same for Gliscor. I opted out of running Hidden Power Ice on Thundurus for a different Hidden Power, and was going to rely then on Azelf's Hidden Power Ice and Feraligator's Ice Punch. But some things to watch for too were Raikou, if my team got low enough where Hidden Power Ice could kind of just sweep through, or Shadow Ball even. And, it can do a lot of damage, especially if I don't have a lot of late game stuff, and I don't have my Choice Scarf. I don't have anything with a Choice Scarf outside of Azelf, which is kind of frail, so that could really run through my team. And then Jirachi, the newly acquired Jirachi in the trade to the Boston Red Sox for their Gardevoir. Jirachi's just a pain to deal with. But we're going to get into this battle, and I'm going to go right out with Thundurus. I figure this is my best bet against his team because it handles most of it, and he leads with my regular Venusaur, and he's going to Mega Up. And I figured this is perfect. I figured maybe he'll go for Sludge Bomb, maybe he'll go for Leech Seed, even a first turn Synthesis because he doesn't know what I'm going to do. And I go for the Hidden Power Flying because I knew with Thick that Hidden Power Ice wasn't going to do anything, and that does a good amount. I knew I couldn't one-hit KO it, but I was pretty happy with getting 70-ish% on turn 1. But he goes for the Sleep Powder, and at the moment I didn't really think this was going to be that big of a deal. Yeah, it kind of sucks that of all things Thundurus is the one that's asleep, but I wasn't too concerned at the time for it. And I figured I'm just going to go into Charizard now before rocks get up. And figured maybe he might Leech Seed or maybe he might Synthesis. It just goes right for the Sludge Bomb, which does a lot. And the unfortunate thing here is I'm not running a recovery-esque type of Mega Charizard. I'm running a pure offensive one, Dragon Dance, 3 attacks, and because of that I'm also running Fire Punch and not Flare Blitz. But I'm just going to Mega Up, so now rocks don't really affect me as much. And I go for the Dragon Claw. It hit everything on his team. Better than anything else. But I figured he was going to want to do something else, and he wasn't going to Earthquake right now, so I figured Dragon Dance is a good call, because I figured maybe he didn't have Dragon Dance or Earthquake, maybe he was just running the knockoff variant. But my whole premise going into this match was Feraligator or Megazard X were my win condition, and that the other's job was to punch holes in the team, and the other was to clean up. And as you can see right here from this damage, after he was not running a bulky one, and that just took Gyarados clean out, which was awesome to get that right out of the way. But my whole premise of this game was hopefully Feraligator can get in and start doing work, and Feraligator can clean up, or Megazard X can clean up, and unfortunately it did not work that way, where I had to basically have Megazard start punching holes early. But I did get Gyarados out of the way. I got Mega Venusaur pretty low. And I have this Gliscor pretty low, where it's at a range where he has to make a good decision, does he want to sack it or not. So I'm just going to go into my Scarf Azelf, and I'm going to just go for the Hidden Power Ice, because it hits everything. I couldn't risk going for Psychic in case Weavile wanted to come in, and I couldn't risk going for Dazzling Gleam because it wouldn't kill the Venusaur. And I made kind of an error in judgment, I guess. I opted out of Flamethrower on both this and Clefable for different coverage moves, and instead had different ways to take care of things like Gyarados and stuff like that with Thunderbolt, because I was kind of worried about that. And in hindsight, that wasn't the best idea on my part. I really should have brought Flamethrower on one thing, especially for this Jirachi, because now that Megazard X is gone, Feraligator is really my only hope of getting rid of that Jirachi. But he's just going to go back into Mega Venusaur. He knows it's a safe play against the Powdon. I can't really do much to him, even with Ice Fang. I forewent Earthquake for Thunder Fang on this, just so I could hit Gyarados a little bit easier. I know I'm especially defensive, and with Stand Up I can live 1 Giga Drain, but the issue here is I can't just keep switching out and letting Venusaur get a lot of health back, so I gotta keep just hitting it down, and same with the Gliscor. The whole point is just get stuff down where it can't live hits eventually. So while it does suck that he is getting health back, and that actually plays big into this battle, that he was able to get all this health back after Thundurus did about 70% with that hidden power flying. But Hippowdon's going to go down, but really looking at his team, Hippowdon did not do much against it, especially with Gyarados gone and Gliscor so low, and with him not having Earthquake. I was kind of more just as a pivot switch I used it for this week. Because like I said, I had an unusual game plan of just hit holes with one thing and just finish the game with the other. But I'm just going to take the risk and go for the Psychic as he goes into his Gliscor as Death Fodder. I'm assuming he didn't want to risk going into Weavile if he guessed wrong, just because he tells me later that this Weavile is indeed a choice banded one, and I sat here for a while and I was thinking, does Danza actually have Pursuit on this? I know standard Weavile in this metagame now doesn't like to run Pursuit, but I figured I'm stuck anyway in the Psychic. I have to switch out. I can't risk him going for a knockoff and getting rid of my Choice Scarf and then me doing no damage and now being in that position, so I figured I have to risk switching out. He does get rid of my leftovers on Clefable, which is unfortunate because that's a lot of my passive recovery. But this is where it's really coming back to bite me that I don't have Flamethrower on this thing, because I was so... He always ran a bulky Gyarados in a lot of his matches, and he didn't really change that up much, and that was what I was preparing for, because I wanted solid ways to take that down in a lot of different effective ways. This flinch right here didn't matter a ton, I guess. I was going to set up Stealth Rocks on that turn, because I knew Clefable was basically dead. There was no point in trying to soft boil stall it, especially because I was slower and Iron Head with the flinches. So that whole turn right there was me just going to get up rocks to hurt some stuff, maybe a little more, which actually could have really played into the rest of this match, as we'll see in a little bit. But I figure I got to try to get this Thundurus up. This is going to be a good time to do it. And unfortunately, I'm not running my bulky Thundurus, which I have in the past 2 weeks. I'm running just the normal 252 special attacking one. He reveals now that he has the Ice Punch. And it's good to know, that we've seen from a little bit of damage earlier that he has leftovers, not Scarf, but he is more than likely specially defensive. So this thing is looking real bulky, and it's going to be real difficult to take down. But I'm just trying to get that wake up. And he goes into Raikou. And on this Thundurus, I actually had Dark Pulse for the Jirachi, as well as to hit stuff like Gliscor and whatnot, because I wasn't running Hidden Power Ice. But I don't get the wake up, and that's fine. I had to try. That was my only opportunity to do it. So I'm going to go into his Zelf, and again, not having Flamethrower, I'm kind of screwed because he has a Dark type available. And I'm just going to go for the Explosion, because I figured it hits everything on his team for at least like 35%. And it at least gets something on Jirachi. So while that might have been a waste with the Zelf, I couldn't keep playing mind games, because all I'm down to now is Feraligatr. And we're sitting now, I believe, at a 1v4. And as you can probably guess by the length of this video, we still got a little bit of battle left. But my whole thing is here is I'm praying he doesn't have Thunder Wave. And I debated a lot for this battle. Do I go Life Orb or do I go Lumberry? And he goes for the U-turn, and I could not believe this, because I figured right here just gave me a win. And because I'm Dragon Dancing. Now mind you, before that flinch, my goal is to get up rocks. So now I'm thinking, great, he's probably got Sash Weavile, which is now still intact because Sandstorm's not up and I don't have rocks. But it turns out that he's Choice Band, and I take it clean out. He said after the battle that even if he went for Ice Shards, it wouldn't have really mattered. But here's where the rocks possibly come into play. So his Venusaur is at 104 HP from what he tells me, and this Earthquake max damage only did 104 at the max roll, which means I had a very small percent otherwise of taking that thing out without rocks or without the crit. So had I not flinched and rocks got up, that would have been a different story, and that crit wouldn't have mattered at all. But we'll never know if that crit mattered. There was a possibility for me to take that out, but we don't know. In that case, it was very small, and the crit definitely helped. But Feraligatr just going on a tear here. we see that he's not scarfed with Raikou. I'm pretty sure +1 for Alligator outspeeds Scarf Raikou anyway. But Feraligator's just going to get himself a nice little sweep here. That crit did not matter whatsoever. This Feraligator was max attack, adamant, so it was going to hurt a lot. But that was a good game, Crobat. And thanks again to John or Pokemon for recording this battle for me. Make sure you guys check out all the links in the description. John's channel will be down there. Crobat's channel will be down there. The GBA WordPress. And the Thunders are now 5-2 going into week 8, which is real good. So I'll see you guys next week with our battle, and peace out.